Jordon and his cat Nicole lived in a studio apartment in a historic building in the Pioneer Square section of downtown Seattle. At one point in its history, the basement of the building served as a temporary morgue for the victims of the Seattle fire in 1889. Over the years, starting with that event and others, the apartment building gained a reputation for being haunted. This is Audio Stories with J.B. Simeon, and this is the story about a weird YouTube video called The Black-Eyed Jordon. Listeners, you can subscribe to Audio Stories through a link at the website jbsimien.com. That's jbsimien.com. Please tell your friends about Audio Stories and come back and visit us again on Saturday each week for a new original story. Until a few days ago, nothing unusual ever happened in Jordon's apartment. Then one evening, he came home from work to discover the water in the bathroom and kitchen sinks were turned on. He thought that it was possible that he had accidentally turned the water on in one of the sinks and forgotten about it, but not both sinks. The next day, he again discovered that the water was turned on in both sinks. Perhaps, he thought, there's a problem with the water pressure in this apartment. However, after an inspection of the apartment's plumbing by the building maintenance team, he was assured that the water pressure wasn't the cause. On the third day, he again discovered that the water in both sinks was turned on when he returned home from work. That weekend, he installed video surveillance cameras in his apartment. He was able to check the activity in his apartment from work over the internet. Today, on YouTube, I discovered some of that video surveillance posted by my friend Jordon shortly before he died. I hadn't seen it until now. I've been consumed by emotions over his death last week. We had dated on and off for years. He had an unspoken understanding that we would eventually be together. It's so strange to find this video now by accident. According to his sister Jill, I'm experiencing some of the same issues that he experienced before he passed. She and I are viewing this video together, looking for answers. The video is edited. It's narration about a doppelganger, a ghost that could be Jordon's twin except for its large black pupilless eyes. In the start of the video, Nicole is alone in the apartment. She hops onto the kitchen counter and moves towards the sink. Then, using one of her paws, she moves the single handle of the water faucet until water begins to flow. Next, we see Nicole drinking from the flowing water. Later, the video shows Nicole repeating the process in the bathroom sink. Nicole had learned the importance of turning on water to get a drink, but she'd not learned the importance of turning the water off when she was done. That resolved the mystery of who opened the water taps in his apartment and mine. The video was a third through its run. We next observed Jordon suddenly appear in the main room of the apartment from nowhere. His eyes were large and completely black, like a demon's, no pupils. We could hear the water still running in the sinks as Nicole struck an aggressive, defensive posture and backed into a corner in the living room. With her back against the wall, she hissed at Jordon as though she didn't know him. She's afraid. We see Jordon opening and pulling things out of his kitchen cabinets and fridge. He's throwing the items violently onto the floor of the apartment and making a big mess. Some minutes later, Jordon wearing different clothing, with no black eyes, enters the apartment from the outside hallway. The black-eyed Jordon turns his head and moves toward the door. He appears to want to talk to Jordon, who's coming through the door, but disappears as the other Jordon enters the room. We see the Jordon who just entered the room looking at all the damage and shaking his head. We see Nicole come to the door to greet him. He's been shopping for clothing. Next, we see him looking at his phone. He appears to be viewing the video. His hand covers his mouth. He is shocked by what he sees. Later, we see Jordon and Nicole sleeping. We see the black-eyed Jordon standing next to the bed, silently watching the pair. Black-eyed Jordon appears transparent. He extends his arm and he touches Jordon on the back of his neck and disappears. Jordon is now having a seizure. After he recovers, the spot on the back of his neck that the black-eyed Jordon touched is swollen and appears to be causing a pain. He checks himself in the bathroom mirror and lets out a scream of distress. Turning to one of the surveillance cameras, he reveals squiggling worms embedded in holes in his skin on the back of his neck. Jordon squeezes the swollen spot in front of the camera, and several squiggling worms fell to the floor from the holes. The video ends at that point. I was told by his sister that though the video was edited, it was not fiction. Everything happened. The day after the incident, she helped her brother edit the video and load it onto YouTube. He refused to go to the doctor. He didn't have health insurance. She claims that the worms appeared to be migrating under his skin toward his head. By the end of the day, he had become violent toward her. She had to leave his apartment to avoid a fight. Within 24 hours, Jordon had killed 8 of his co-workers. The clothing he was wearing on the day he murdered his friends was the same clothing that the black-eyed Jordon wore in the video. The medical examiner found 2 unusual issues during Jordon's autopsy. First, he had large black eyes with no pupils. Second, a colony of unidentified worms were discovered nesting inside his brain. The examiner speculated that the nesting worms could explain his murderous behavior. Since I live in the same building, I adopted Nicole after Jordon's death. Almost immediately, I began to experience water turning on by itself in my sinks when I was out of the apartment. Now I know that Nicole is the cause. Today, I found my stuff pulled out of my cabinets and thrown onto my apartment floor like Jordon. I'm putting in a video surveillance this weekend to monitor my apartment. I'm not sure what the hell I'll do if I find out it's a demon. This concludes the story of the Black-Eyed Jordon. I'm J.B. Simeon. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please tell your friends and your fans about audio stories with J.B. Simeon. There is a link below that will take you all to iTunes. Please rate us there. Your kindness will help other people find us. We will be here for you next Saturday. Thank you and take care.